in, like the videos you guys come in. Thanks for being here. Thanks for tuning in to Let's Talk About It Media 21, where we talk hot topics, trending topics, what's going on in the news, in the media. We talk celebrity news, get into it. So like the videos you guys come in, allow me a few seconds to get in, do my disclaimer, and we'll get straight into the video. Let me know how you guys are doing. Let me know where you're tuning in from. So press 3 if you knew where you're watching from. Press 3 if you knew where you're watching from. Press 5 if you've been here before and where you're. But thanks for being here, everyone. Let me go ahead, get into my disclaimer, and that way I can protect my page. Yes, the disclaimer. All comments are alleged. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comments, news reporting, teaching, scholarships, and research. Fair use is used permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. All comments are alleged in our opinion and for entertainment purposes only. Good morning, good morning. Hello, Florida. Hello, hello, hello. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being here. We're going to get straight into the video. And we're going to talk about what's going on. There's a lot going on, y'all. There's a lot going on in regards to SNAP benefits, Social Security, in regards to they're thinking about slowing down the planes that are going out by alleged 10%. Good morning, good morning. Thanks for being here. So let's get into what he has to say in regards to what everyone's talking about. Like the videos you guys come in.
The Wall Street Journal editorial board argues in a new piece, Trump really was on the ballot, and it reads in part, quote, President Trump on Wednesday blamed Tuesday's Republican defeats on the government shutdown and the fact that he wasn't on the ballot. If he really believes this, the GOP is heading for bigger problems in 2026. Mr. Trump was on the ballot, not literally, but nonetheless, as the main motivating force behind a dominating Democratic turnout. The electorate gave Mr. Trump another term because he pledged to lower prices and raise real incomes. But his economic record is mixed. Meantime, he pursues polarizing distractions from his mandate, such as ordering the National Guard into cities that don't want it for lobbying for indictments of his political opponents. The 2025 election was a warning from voters. If Republicans don't adapt, the GOP is sure to lose its House majority, and the Senate could be in play too. The editors of the National Review echo that sentiment in a new piece entitled A Big Democratic Night. It reads in part, President Trump attributed the tough night in part to his not being on the ballot. That clearly an element of the problem. Other Republicans can't turn out his voters the way he can. But Trump left out the other part of the equation, which is that the unrelenting Democratic message linking every Republican on the ballot to him clearly worked, and the vote share of Winsome Earl Sears and Jack Ciattarelli matched Trump's low 40s approval ratings in their states. All things being equal, these are bad signs for next year's congressional midterms. No amount of gerrymandering will be able to withstand this kind of Democratic surge if it materializes again in a year's time. And Steve Ratner, I mean, in a way, is it fair to say people were really feeling the effect of some of the things that has come out of this Trump administration, or they're about to, and they know it's coming, whether it's healthcare prices rising, affordability, housing, groceries, everything is worse. And they know Republicans are in power. There's a shutdown. Trump repeatedly over the past decades has said, if there's a shutdown, it's the president's fault. I don't know how they can separate the reality that people are feeling right now to the president who's in charge.
No, that's exactly right, Mika. And so the election was about affordability, and with good reason. It is a much tougher time for most Americans. And I'm going to talk a bit more about this later. We have this kind of K-shaped recovery where people at the top are doing well, people at the bottom are not doing well.
And there's no jobs.
And the job market has weakened. And inflation, Trump likes to create this alternate reality that isn't reality. And so on 60 Minutes, when he was asked about inflation, he said there is no inflation. Well, there's 3% inflation, and people know that. And in fact, people feel even more inflation because some of the things they buy a lot of, certain kinds of groceries, things like that, have gone up by more than the average amount of inflation.
Yeah.
And so it's a huge problem. And what's also interesting is that the Republicans have no real solution to it. If you look at their policies, essentially make it worse, not better, in terms of the tax cuts for the rich and cutting the healthcare subsidies and so on and so forth. So I don't see how it gets better for the Republicans a year from now.
And Joe, this we haven't even mentioned the impact. I think this almost becoming something many people can agree on both sides,
right,
maybe not all, of the ICE raids.
Yeah, listen, I have noticed over the past week or so, the Pope the American Pope speaking out repeatedly about the importance of Catholics, if they are good Catholics,
Yes.
to go out and to welcome the foreigner. Citing the Good Samaritan verses in Luke. Jesus is explaining who your neighbor is. The Pope says we will be judged by how we welcome foreigners. And you have now the archbishops in Chicago and Washington across the country delivering powerful messages. The Pope even at one point suggesting it's hard to call yourself pro-life if you support such horrific treatment of those who are alive, our neighbors, as Jesus would say, our neighbors, the foreigner. That's what Jesus said. So if you have a problem with that, don't even take it up with the Pope. If you're claiming to be a Christian, take it up with Jesus, because that's what he says. And so, yes, this is as we see the church get more and more involved in the protecting of the dignity of human beings, of God's children. You are going to see this become a more difficult political issue, yes, even for Republicans who've turned a blind eye to everything that Jesus said in the New Testament about welcoming foreigners, being kind to the least among us. It's just again, this is something the Pope has started talking about, something he's not going to stop talking about. And Chris Matthews, that's going to be very powerful. I'm going to say also, this election, every time Trump, I was talking about Trump. Let's just take Donald Trump out of this. If this were you and me talking in 1995, 96, if we were talking in 2005, 2006, if we were talking in 2015, 2016, or now, and I told you, Chris, here are the numbers. You tell me whether the party in power or out of power is going to win. You have a right track, wrong track, where only a third of Americans think we're on the right track. Almost 2/3 of Americans say this country's on the wrong track. We have a president with record high disapprovals for him, sitting at 63%, according to the latest CNN poll. And the government's in one of its longest shutdowns ever. It's going to take, the Congressional Budget Office says, maybe 1% off of our...
Good morning. Good morning. Thanks for being here, everyone. Please like the video as you guys come in. Double tap the screen. Let's get the likes up. Either thumbs up the video, below the video, or beside the video. Double tap the screen and the thumbs up will be there. Let's get the likes up. The likes should match the views. To hit the like button is free. Thank you.
This coming quarter. It's really hard to figure out whether the president is Reagan, Clinton, Obama, or Trump. Who's going to win that election and who's not?
Look, this affordability argument it's a new term, by the way. It's not called inflation. It's called affordability. It's about being able to get by. It's about having a young family in many cases and trying to find a place to live. And I look at what Trump has been doing. If you look at his policy, and Steve can register this, but GDP, the big spending bill, the big beautiful bill, rose the amount of pressure on prices. And we're going to have more pressure down the road. With his tariffs, he's still pushing for them. The courts may be fighting him, but he's still pushing for higher tariffs, which means more taxes. And he still wants to weaken the Fed. He wants to get lower interest rates. Everything he's doing is causing inflation. Everything he's doing is driving up the affordability challenge to incumbents. And that's going to hurt every incumbent. And so if he's going to play defense in 26 and 28, he's got a problem.
Yeah, and Willie, there's a disconnect from political reality. We talked about it where, Nancy Pelosi had to go in and say, no, your polls aren't what you say they are. Donald Trump, of course, is going around saying, I have the best polls ever. You can find 4, 5, 6 poll services out over the past week or two that say just the opposite. But that's really harmless. It's not harmless for Republicans. It'll hurt Republicans. But as far as for voters going, when you start talking about how, hey, there's no inflation, this is the strongest economy ever, everything's great, all the things that Donald Trump has always done, he believes that's the way you do it. That's sort of the real estate, investor and salesman in him. And that's what you do. But the problem is, and this is what Barack Obama always struggled with. Never wanted to, every time he said the economy's looking up, he goes, but I understand there are people with problems out there. Americans don't want to hear the president, especially while he's building a ballroom and giving $20 to $40 billion to Argentina. They don't want to hear the president saying how great the economy's going if they're struggling. They don't care how much the Mag 7 is shooting up in stock prices if they're having trouble paying their grocery bills, their electric bills, and their rent. And that's where way too many working Americans are right now.
President Trump always, since before he was president, has been great at creating a narrative, repeats something enough until it kind of becomes true somehow in many people's minds. But you can't convince people who are going out and living their lives and can't get the groceries they need or afford their rent that things are going well with a narrative dictated down from the White House. It's in the numbers we showed yesterday, all this polling, that CNN poll of a couple of days ago that had the president's approval rating at 37%. That number was interesting, but more interesting perhaps was that more than 70% of people in this country think we're headed in the wrong direction and that the economy is the reason for it, and that many of the policies, including these tariffs, despite what Donald Trump says, which is you people and you companies just don't understand how tariffs work. They actually are good for you. Meanwhile, people are saying, no, actually, I can't afford my groceries and my rent. So you can't tell people that they're not living the way they feel every day. And I think we saw some of
Let's get the likes up, you guys. There's 105 in the building. Please double tap the screen. Let's get the likes up, and thank you. Thanks for watching and thanks for being here. Let's get the likes up. Double tap the screen and hit the thumbs up. Above the video, below the video, or backspace and hit the thumbs up. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
that at the polling places 2 nights ago.
All right, still ahead on Morning Joe, the Supreme Court heard arguments yesterday over President Trump's sweeping tariffs. We'll talk about what the justices said and what it could mean for the president's economic agenda. And a reminder to sign up for our newly relaunched newsletter. It's called The Tea.
Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip. Please like the video. Please like the video. Let's continue with the news. Thanks for being here. And many people are talking about how they're struggling. Hold on one second. Many people are talking about how they're struggling. Let me show you a video. Hold on one second. Blueface Krishan. J-Lo's concerned. Hold on. Maybe I'll find it. Maybe I'll do it when we do hot topics, trending topics. But there's a young lady crying in regards to her standing in line to try and get food. Like the videos, you guys come in. Like the videos, you guys come in.
Millions of Americans from sea to shining sea, delivering a crystal clear and decisive blow and rebuke to Donald J. Trump, electing Democrats in multiple statewide races by blowout margins in some cases.
Let's get the likes up, you guys. There's 2 likes, 75 people in the building. Please double tap the screen to get the likes up. If you're new, press 3. If you've been here before, press 5. Press 3 if you watched before. Press 5 you've been here before. Let's continue. Fair use.
Cases and approving a ballot measure that puts Democrats in the driver's seat and in position to potentially retake the House in the 2026 midterms, despite Republican efforts to gerrymander the congressional maps. Voters in California came out in stunning numbers, delivering a stinging blow to Trump's efforts to rig the game in his favor, as his political standing continues to sink lower and lower by the day with the American people. Prop 50 passed by double-digit margins. More than 8 million people voted. That number is set to grow as the ballots continue to be counted. Now Democrats could net up to 5 seats, neutralizing the gerrymander by Republicans in Texas that kicked off this nationwide redistricting battle. In California, where John Heilman pointed out yesterday rather astutely that nothing was on the ballot. No people were on the ballot. No candidate was there driving out the vote. It was just this idea, this thing, Prop 50. Voters came out for that thing in record numbers to send a message to Donald Trump. Here's California's Governor Gavin Newsom.
We're proud of the work that the people of the state of California did tonight to send a powerful message to an historic president. Donald Trump is an historic president. He is the most historically unpopular president in modern history. In every critical category, Donald Trump is underwater. He promised to make us healthier. He promised to make us wealthier. We're sicker and poorer. And he fundamentally understands that. Why else would he call Greg Abbott saying he's entitled to 5 seats? Why else is he trying to rig the midterm elections before one single vote is even cast? He understands his position at this moment in the United States of America. One thing he never counted on, though, was the state of California. Instead of agonizing over the state of our nation, we organized in an unprecedented way in a 90-day sprint. People from all over the United States of America contributed their voices and their support for this initiative. We stood tall and we stood firm in response to Donald Trump's recklessness. And tonight, after poking the bear, this bear roared with an unprecedented turnout in a special election with an extraordinary result.
The margin was so big and the turnout so dramatic that it might be easy to forget or lose sight of the fact that that extraordinary result was far from a sure thing. Politico reports that early polling showed opposition to redrawing the maps ahead of last night, and it seeded doubt among Democrats about whether they would succeed at all. From that report, quote, the outlook was anything but certain back when Democrats were still clinging to the hope that they could bluff their way out of a precarious and costly redistricting arms race. The sobering initial poll was a fork-in-the-road moment for Newsom and his political inner circle. Perhaps some on the team suggested getting voter approval was too heavy of a lift. Nevertheless, they plowed ahead, building up a daunting cash advantage, unifying a bruised party, and galvanizing voters around an anti-Trump message all in a matter of weeks. Here's more from Governor Gavin Newsom.
Good morning. Good
As
morning.
we speak, people are still in line. People waiting up 3 hours to cast their vote, to send a message to Donald Trump. No crowns, no thrones, no kings. Our state of mind was resolute. Our state of mind was resolved to stand firm and to stand tall, to not be intimidated, to not be humiliated, to not fall prey to cynicism, to not fall prey to fear and the anxiety of someone that believes in only one thing, shock and awe, to intimidate and exhaust us. But we're seeing all across this country, 7 million people strong, standing up, not just for themselves, but for each other and for these enduring and historic principles of our founding fathers. And I'll end on that. Next year is the 250th anniversary of the best of Roman Republic, the best of Greek democracy. This fundamental notion of a system of checks and balances, of popular sovereignty, the rule of law, Mr. President, the rule of law, not the rule of dawn. And I hope it's dawning on people. The sobriety of this moment, what's at stake. Tonight, as I said, is an extraordinary moment for our party. Again, it's an extraordinary moment affirming those principles. Our founding fathers did not live and die to see the kind of vandalism to this republic and our democracy that Donald Trump is trying to perpetuate.
The pro-democracy coalition delivering defeat after defeat for Donald Trump and Republicans in ways that will resonate in the months, perhaps years ahead, is where we start today. With me at the table, MSNBC's Alicia Menendez, also joining us, Puck News senior columnist, MSNBC national affairs analyst John Heilman, and MSNBC senior national and political correspondent Jacob Sobroff is back with us. Jacob, I started this hour with you and Alicia. You were on those lines with voters at 4 o'clock. I left this set some, 8, 9 hours later. I won't complain though, because Alicia's shift was longer than mine. And you were still online with those voters. Just tell me the story of Prop 50 last night.
As a matter of fact, Nicole, even after the polls closed and after I left that event where Gavin Newsom gave those remarks that you just played, at 9:15 p.m., an hour and 15 minutes after the polls were closed, that line continued to stretch halfway around the block and people didn't get out of line. I talked to a senior advisor to Governor Gavin Newsom just minutes ago, and obviously they're ecstatic. They're ecstatic by the turnout that you're looking at on the left-hand side of your screen, and what they say is their people, the Democrats, stayed till the end of the game. Trump scared his voters away, and they left at halftime, particularly as it relates to Latino voters. And if you look at places like Imperial County, the flip between, and that's a largely Latino county on the border with Mexico here in California, the flip between Kamala Harris voters and Prop 50 voters is one that is giving them a huge, enormous amount of encouragement. And, you heard Gavin Newsom say this was a 90-day campaign. Remember where it started. It started in Little Tokyo in downtown Los Angeles, where Greg Bovino showed up outside of Gavin Newsom's rally, the head of the patrol division of the Border Patrol, in tactical gear, in order to terrorize, intimidate, and scare away pretty much a who's who of California politicians from announcing this initiative. Of course, that's not what they say they were doing, but Gavin Newsom says that's exactly what they were doing, and it had the opposite effect. Latinos turned out, Democrats turned out. I've never seen an off-year election in my 10 plus years at MSNBC that felt like the way yesterday did here in California.
Let me ask you a question about the temptation to separate out, even for today's newscast, right? We're going to talk in the next block about the ICE video that Gavin Newsom's office sent you while you were online covering Prop 50. Maybe we disaggregate these things at our own peril. I mean, if you look at Trump's numbers on immigration, California voters by margins of 64% to 12% think that Trump's actions on immigration have gone too far. 7 million people turned out in the country for No Kings rallies. Prop 50 passed. I think 2 to 1 is the best way to describe its margin. But importantly, Republicans sort of gave up. They stopped trying to raise money. They stopped trying to turn out the vote. And Newsom himself said, we have enough money for our side. Don't send any more money. What is it that voters are experiencing that tie all these things together? Trump's overreach, the breaking of the maps, and what we're seeing with our own eyes in terms of the ICE violence really being carried out in communities.
Even after January 6th, even after the first Trump presidency, when I would walk on lines in places all around the country in all of the swing states, democracy was never, ever the first thing that people brought up. Words like freedom, words like, standing up for my children and our.
There's about 98 in the building. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. There's about 98 in the building. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Let's get the likes up, everyone. Thanks for being here. Groceries are not down. I don't know where y'all shopping at. Groceries are not down. Groceries are not down. I don't know where you shopping at, what you buying, but that's cool. Do you? But groceries are not down. Let's get the likes up, everyone. There's about 175 in the building. Please hit the subscribe button. We're trying to hit 50K by next month. Please hit the subscribe button. We're trying to hit 50K by next month. So press 3 if you knew where you're watching from. Press 3 if you knew where you're watching from. Press 5 if you've been here before and where you're watching from. Thanks for tuning in. Let's continue. Fair use.
In this country, that's what people would talk about the economy. People would talk about the local kitchen table pocketbook issues everywhere I go. It's why we do that series, What Matters, that we did here election after election, because despite the things that we would talk about, despite the things that people in Washington and New York and maybe sometimes here in LA would say were sort of the big picture intellectual issues, the fading of democracy, the rise of autocracy, that's not what people would talk about. That is what people were talking about last night on the line outside of the California Museum, across the street from the office of Governor Gavin Newsom in the state capital of Sacramento. And according to David Noriega, my colleague who was here in Los Angeles, and other reports all through California, that's what was front of mind for everybody. Everybody felt like their hold on their lives in an existential way was slipping away because of what we have seen, not just on the streets here in Los Angeles, but what I've seen myself in Chicago, what we've seen in Portland, all of those cities that Gavin Newsom brought up last night. When all of that started here in the summer of 2025, all of the politicians here were saying, this is a petri dish. Karen Bass, in particular, the mayor of Los Angeles. What is happening on these streets is not just about immigration. It is about the president of the United States taking power away from you and your life and your ability to live and make decisions for yourself. And I think I've never seen so many young people in line the way that they were. Everybody's got the ability, if you're a registered voter, to have a mail-in ballot. Yet so many people showed up to hang out, to talk to each other, to eat pizza, and in their own words, stand up for the future of the American democratic project last night.
It definitely all depends on what you're buying, but if you're going to an Aldi's, yeah, prices are pretty decent. But if you're going to a Walmart or a Myers, prices are not down. I shop all the time to get what I need for my family. It depends. And see, that's the trickery. It depends on what you're getting. Certain things could be on sale. That might be why your prices are down. It just depends on what you're getting. But most of us that feed a family of 3 or 4 or more, prices are up, and we know it. But see, that's what people will do though in your comments. Like the video, fair use, reaction clip. Let's continue. Let's continue.
Your grocery prices go up. Donald Trump and this bevy of MAGA Republicans are very comfortable lying to the public left and right. We all know that. But there's some lies that you just can't really get away with. For people that don't have 401ks or are not invested in the stock market, but they've seen their grocery prices go up. Inflation.
No, you're wrong. They went up under Biden. Right now, they're going down.
I mean, Trump has shown a remarkable ability over the years to convince large swaths of the American public of all sorts of things that aren't true. But there are topics where Trump's lies just aren't sticking.
A new poll finds about 70% of Americans say groceries are more expensive now than they were a year ago. And about 60% of them are blaming President Trump.
There you go. That was on Fox News. I mean, no matter how much Trump tries, his spin is no match for reality when it starts to hit America.
There's about 190 people in the building, and we have 7 likes. Let's get the likes up so we can continue. Stop playing. It's free to hit the like button. Double tap the screen, please, to hit the like button. Double tap the screen, please, to hit the like button. All it takes is a double tap and hit the thumbs up above the video, below the video. Let's get the likes up. 50 people to double tap that screen and hit the thumbs up. YouTube makes it so easy. All you have to do is double tap or hit the thumbs up above the video, below the video, so we can continue. Thank you. Let's get the likes up. Thank you. 155 in the building. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being here. Let's get the likes up. Let's get the likes up. It's free, free, free. The likes should match the views. Thank you. Let's get the likes up. Thank you. Let's get the likes up. Double tap the screen, or you could backspace, hit the thumbs up the video. Thanks for being here. Let's continue.
At home, people can tell if their groceries are getting more expensive. And I think that's an important thing to remember as we think about what we saw in elections all across the country last night. Now, don't get me wrong. There are millions of reasons. We've been talking about them throughout the course of the show. Democrats won so many races last night. But there is one reason Trump is blaming for why Democrats did so well and why Republicans did so poorly.
I thought we'd have a discussion after the press leaves about what last night represented and what we should do about it, and also about the shutdown, how that relates to last night. I think if you read the pollsters, the shutdown was a big factor, negative for the Republicans.
Don't you love that he's listening with the private conversations? Maybe there's that. I mean, that was Trump speaking to Republican senators this morning, and he's right. Poll after poll has shown that the American public blame Republicans for the government shutdown. And I think that is because the shutdown is not some big, abstract political thing happening in D.C. It is impacting Americans' lives in real, tangible ways that Republicans can't spin their way out of. I mean, yesterday, despite court orders from 2 different federal judges requiring the Trump administration to fund SNAP, the food stamp program nearly 42 million Americans rely on, Trump claimed he would refuse to release any funding until Democrats caved and ended the shutdown. Now, the White House has since walked back that claim, but food is still not on Americans' tables. Despite the Trump administration saying that they will partially fund SNAP benefits this month, millions of Americans still may not actually see that aid anytime soon. Because the guidance that Trump's USDA has given states for distributing those partial benefits is filled with red tape. That could mean it will take weeks before anyone can actually access those funds. And just like the Trump administration's decision to not fund SNAP in the first place, none of that is necessary. I mean, the Trump administration is choosing to make this as painful as possible. Even once that partial funding is eventually distributed, the Trump administration is actively choosing, even though they don't have to make it just 50% of what SNAP recipients are entitled to. That means the average SNAP allowance right now is just $187 per person a month. The Trump administration is choosing to make that just $93.50. Can you imagine trying to buy a month's worth of groceries with just $93? That's the reality the Trump administration is forcing upon millions of Americans right now. And that is a reality that no amount of lies can spin. President Trump is not lying about one thing, though, that this shutdown is hurting the Republican Party's popularity. That's true. So now the question is, how can Democrats use the clear message from last night's win to get Republicans to end this shutdown? Joining me now is Democratic Senator Chris Murphy of Connecticut. What a big blowout last night. I want to talk to you about that. But what's also happening right now is the government remains shut down, which is having a huge impact on Americans across the country. And the Washington Post is reporting that there is a group of about a dozen, what they're describing as moderate Senate Democrats, considering striking a bipartisan deal to end the shutdown and fund the government if Republicans pledge to put the ACA subsidies up for a vote. I'm guessing, because I've been watching what you've been saying and watching what you've been saying online, that you don't think that's the right strategy. But tell me why.
Well, I mean, first of all, it was great to see Governor-elect Cheryl and you talking about, what a big win she had last night. This was a night where, clearly it was a referendum on Trump's corruption and chaos. But I also do think that this was an endorsement of the Democratic Party, which has been for the first time this year really showing some fight, standing up for our values and saying, listen, we're not going to sign on to a corrupt, immoral budget. People don't want the shutdown to continue any longer than is necessary, but they know who's causing it. Increasingly, people say, listen, this is Donald Trump's shutdown. All he has to do is sit down and negotiate with Democrats for a couple hours, and the shutdown could be over. Because what are we asking for? It's not unreasonable. It's not earth-shattering. We're just saying, don't raise premiums on 22 million Americans by 25, 75, 150% this fall. That's what we're asking for, to get the government back open and operating, and the president could cut that deal in a matter of minutes. So yes, I think it would be very strange after the country just came out and rewarded Democrats for finally standing up and fighting for our values, to then give in to Donald Trump and cease fighting. Donald Trump said this morning he doesn't want the shutdown to continue. And so it's probably just a matter of time before he's in a discussion with Democrats about how to end the shutdown and protect people in this country from these massive healthcare increases. Maybe that's overly optimistic, but we should at least wait a few days to find out how he's going to react to this thumping Republicans took last night.
Yeah, I mean, it's the moral thing to do, the right thing. I think I first met you when you were running on healthcare. You've been fighting on this issue for 2 decades, longer than that. It's the morally right thing, but it's also politically the right thing. If you're Trump, it's politically the right thing to make sure costs don't go up on healthcare. Do you think after the thumping last night, I love that term, and it was a clear referendum on Trump, a clear referendum in support of what the Democrats are standing for, do you think any Democrats' spines have stiffened who may have been a part of this group who were kind of contemplating folding on this?
Obviously been in close discussions all day today, the folks who are in that room.
There's about 230 in the building. Please hit the subscribe button. We're trying to hit 50K by next month. Please hit the subscribe button, and thank you. And also turn on your notifications. Let's continue. Let's get the likes up. The likes should match the views. Let's get the likes up. Let's continue. Fair use.
Talking to Republicans in discussions with people like me who believe that we should continue this fight to protect people's health care, and hopefully there will be some fruit from those discussions in the coming days. But you're right to point out the moral consequences of reopening a government with premiums doubling for Americans. The estimates are that about 4 million Americans would lose their health care insurance. I spoke to a woman in South Florida just earlier this week, where the horror will be the worst, who is going to lose her insurance and is going to have to decide whether she or her husband gets health care. They both have very complicated illnesses. They are deciding which one of them is going to survive to be able to take care of their 4 kids. So
Wow, that's crazy work.
shutdowns are very hard. They involve lots of pain. But if we reopen the government and 4 million Americans lose their health care insurance, there is enormous moral cost to that. There is pain as well. Republicans have put us in a situation where we have to choose between a shutdown where people don't get food and reopening the government in which people lose their health care. That's a false choice. But the voters told us on Tuesday night that they want us to keep this fight up on behalf of their health care. And I think that we should keep this fight going to at least see if Donald Trump is willing to come to the negotiating table.
And the Trump administration could choose to fund SNAP benefits. They have funding to do that for some period of time. They've obviously not done that fully.
Like the video, fair use reaction clip. Wow, a family has to decide which spouse will get coverage. That's some crazy work. Like the video. As you guys come in, let's hear what he had to say in his speech recently. Like the video as y'all come in.
Japan, South Korea, Malaysia. And they were actually terrific. So I want to thank you for that.
Press 3 if you're new, where you're watching from. Press 3 if you're new, where you're watching from. There's about 260 in the building. Let's get the likes up. Press 3 if you're new, where you're watching from. Don't forget to hit subscribe. We're trying to hit 50K by next month.
You'll get back to your normal ways soon. But we did a great job over in China. And we've done a great job in turning off wars. We stopped 8 wars. And we have 1 to go, as you probably know, and that'll get stopped also. But we've done a great job, so it's really been an honor to do it, and I did it with many of the people in this room. Every one of you I know, and every one of you I like our leaders, I like everybody. But I thought we'd have a discussion after the press leaves about what
Good morning, Indiana.
last night represented, and what we should do about it, and also about the shutdown, how that relates to last night. I think if you read the pollsters, the shutdown was a big factor, negative for the Republicans. And that was a big factor, and they say that I wasn't on the ballot was the biggest factor. But I don't know about that, but I was honored that they said that. And I just want to thank everybody for being here.
Good morning, Oklahoma. Good morning, Washington State.
And a very special thanks to Vice President J.D. Vance, who's doing a terrific job. As well as the Senate leadership team that has been working very hard, working really, I will tell you, nobody's working any harder representing the American people, including Senator John Thune. John, thank you. John, thank you very much. Senator Tom Cobb, wherever you may be, Tom. Thank you. Thank you, Tom. Thank you. So Senator Shelley Moore Capito, who's the great Senator James Lankford from one of my favorite states, 77 out of 77. 77 out of 77. Reagan was 56. That was the record. We got every one of them. Thank you, James. And a fantastic friend of mine and an incredible advocate during the election a year ago, Tim Scott. So as you know, we are in the midst of a disastrous Democrat-created government shutdown, and it is Democrat-created, but I don't think they're getting really the blame that they should. That's now officially the longest shutdown in American history. The Democrat radicals in the Senate have shown zero interest in reopening the government, and I don't think they'll actually. A lot of people disagree. I've been saying for the last 30 days, we've had 4 or 5 different points. Yes, sir, they're going to get it right now. We should have it done in a day. I've heard that about 4 times. I heard it after Kings. They said I was a king, and I heard it after Kings. I heard it after a couple of other moments in time, and I said, no, I don't believe so. And now I heard it's after the election. I don't believe so. I think they will. I think they're kamikaze pilots. I just got back from Japan. I talked about the kamikaze pilots. I think these guys are kamikaze. They'll take down the country if they have to. So I don't think so. Millions of Americans are going to be without SNAP benefits. And I will say about SNAP benefits, so when I was president, we had $7 billion worth, and now they have many times that because these benefits were given to anybody that asked. And
like the video, please subscribe. There's about 299 in the building. There's about 299 in the building. Please subscribe. We're trying to hit 50K by next month. We're trying to hit 50K by next month.
Up to, I hear just many times, 47 billion. So it wasn't the purpose of SNAP. That was for people that really had problems, down and out, people that really had problems. But during Biden, they gave it to anybody that wanted it. I think it's something you have to talk about because the numbers are incredible. But countless public servants are now not being paid, and the air traffic control system is under increase.
And some people are down and out right now, and they need that money on their SNAP, and they're not doing it. That's the sad part. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
Strain. We must get the government back open soon, and really immediately. We have to get it up. We have the hottest economy we've ever had, and it's affecting the stock market now a little bit. But the stock market, as of Friday, has hit many record highs during the last 9 months, many. And it will again. This is just the beginning, because when these plants that are being built right now start opening up, we've never had anything like this. There's a boom. There's a construction boom right now, but that's going to be bigger than that. That's going to be an economic boom as soon as they open up, and it's going to be something special. We have car companies coming in. When I was in Japan, Toyota, Mr. Toyota, I said, "What's your name?" "Toyota." I said, "Oh, you're rich." I said, "How much of the company do you own?" 92.1%. I said, "I'm glad you said the one. He wants to be." I said, "You're a rich guy." And he said, "I'm investing $10 billion in the U.S. And you know who I'm talking about, right? You introduced me, Mr. Senator. You introduced me originally when you were the ambassador to Japan. He's still good. He's still strong, but he had no interest in investing in this country. Now he's investing $10 billion as of 1 week ago in building new plants. We have auto plants coming in incredibly, but we have AI and all of them. And we can't be extorted to give $1.5 trillion to people that came into the country illegally, many from prisons, many drug dealers. A lot of people came in from mental institutions.
There's about 334 in the building. Please hit the subscribe button. Please hit the subscribe button and turn on your notifications. Please hit the subscribe button, and thank you. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
We want to give a lot of money to the people that came in illegally. We have to get them out. We can't. No country can sustain that. That's not like an attack on our country. No country. These are not going to be productive people. These are going to be anti-productive people. And we can all have big hearts. I have a bigger heart than anybody, but we can't let that happen. It's time for Republicans to do what they have to do, and that's terminate the filibuster. It's the only way you can do it. And if you don't terminate the filibuster, you'll be in bad shape. We won't pass any legislation. There'll be no legislation passed for 3 1/4. We have 3 1/4 years, so that's a long time. But when they can't do an extension, and John, I think they've done an extension every single time they've ever been asked forever. This is the first time they haven't done an extension. Extensions are supposed to be easy, but if they won't do an extension, they won't do any bill, even a simple bill. And we should do our own bills. We should get out. We should do our own bills. We should open up. We start tonight with the country's open. Congratulations. Then we should pass voter ID. We should pass no mail-in voting. We should pass all the things that we want to pass, make our elections secure and safe, because California is a disaster. Many of the states are disasters. But can you imagine when they vote almost unanimously against voter ID? All we want is voter ID. You go to a grocery store, you have to give ID. You go to a gas station, you give ID. But for voting,
you go to a grocery store, you got to give ID. You go to a gas station, you give ID. What? Like the video as you guys come in. What did he say?
Voter ID. We should pass no mail-in voting. We should pass all the things that we want to pass, make our elections secure and safe, because California is a disaster. Many of the states are disasters. But can you imagine when they vote almost unanimously against voter ID? All we want is voter ID. You go to a grocery store, you have to give ID. You go to a gas station, you give ID. But for voting, they want no voter ID. It's only for 1 minute because they cheat. We would pass that in 15 minutes. If you don't get it, you'll never.
Who's going to a grocery store giving ID? Who's going to a gas station and you got to show ID? What is going on? He said it. I didn't. Like the video.
Past that. You'll never talk about mail-in ballots. Mail-in ballots make it automatically corrupt. If you have mail-in ballots, automatically it's correct. Even Jimmy Carter, they had the Carter Commission after he got out of office, and he had a group of very distinguished people, Democrats and Republicans, and they passed, they recommended things take place. It was a long time ago. And they said about mail-in ballots, if there is mail-in ballots, there will definitely be corruption because, you know, they pass through too many hands. I mean, you go in to vote and they want your card. Even me, I went into Palm Beach. You go in to vote, they want your card. You're this, you're that. They say, "I'm sorry to do this, sir, but I have to look at your identification." I said, "That's all right. I love that." But, you know, you're really not going to get away with much.
Correct. ID for cigarettes. That's about it. ID for cigarettes. You said it right. Thanks for being here.
It was very, very professional and very good, the way it's supposed to be. But these people don't want that. They have legislation in California where it's illegal to ask somebody for.
Correct. And beer. Thanks for being here. That's right. ID for cigarettes and beer. Thanks for being here. Let's continue.
Voter ID. If you ask somebody for voter ID, if you're an official and you say, "I'd like to see your voter ID," they can arrest you.
Like the video. Like the video. There's about 200. Let's see. There's about 129 in the building. Please hit the subscribe button. We're trying to hit 50K by next month. Please hit the subscribe button. Let's continue to get the likes up. The likes should match the views. As you guys are commenting, hit that like button. Hit that like button. Thanks for being here.
They can arrest you. Okay? They can arrest you because they want to cheat, and they get away with it. And the Republicans let them get away with it, and we won't do that if we have the filibuster. So we're gonna talk about that a little bit, and we're gonna see if we can sway, because I know we have a lot of, we've done a lot. I'd say half feel this way, maybe a little bit less than half. And it's time to have a really good talk. If I thought that they weren't going to pass the filibuster, I wouldn't even bring it up. They're going to pass it within the first hour, and if they take power, and it's more likely that they take power if we don't do it, because we're not going to be passing any legislation. They're going to approve it.
Don't tell me what to do. I can interact with my people as much as I want. There's about 211 in the building. Please hit the subscribe button. Please hit the subscribe button and turn on your notifications. Like the video as you guys come in, and thanks for being here.
We're going to go 3 1/4 years. There won't be one bill that we're going to pass, because the easiest thing to pass is exactly right now what they won't pass. And they'll do that, and they'll wreak havoc. But let's assume they get it. They're doing it anyway, so it wouldn't matter. They're doing it anyway. You know, I have a case where I have great U.S. attorneys that can't be approved because of the blue slips. The blue slips, I think you should terminate blue slips too. It's a mental termination because it's really a custom. But if you have a Democrat senator or two is bad, but it doesn't make any difference. If you have one senator writes a negative letter on some great U.S. attorney, we had it in Manhattan, Southern District. Jay Clayton, one of the most respected lawyers in the whole country, by far, one of the most respected, and couldn't get approved. The courts approved him. The courts couldn't believe it. They did it like instantly. He went to the best schools, got the best marks, top of his class. Everything was perfect. I mean, he was like lived the perfect life. Went to Sullivan and Cromwell. Almost immediately became the head of Sullivan and Cromwell. You know, the most prestigious law firm, I would say, in the country, just about. Whether it's Sullivan or 2 or 3, I could name, but Sullivan, I would say, really, maybe number 1. He was the head of Sullivan and Cromwell for like 20 years. He went to the SEC, was flawless. He did it for me. He was the SEC chairman. He was flawless. Then he went to Apollo, where he was the chairman of Apollo, and was flawless. Everything went good. The stock went through the roof and everything. I asked him to go to the Southern District, and he said, "I'll do what you'd like to do, sir." He's a very high-quality person. But he couldn't get approval from Schumer. Schumer didn't approve him. Best student, best schools, everything. He's like flawless. And the courts actually said, "You're not approving Jay Clayton?" Right, Lindsay, you heard this. The courts actually interceded, and they approved him. But that's an unusual guy. We have other people that are really good, but people don't know how good. Top students, top colleges, and they're U.S. attorneys, and they won't be approved. They're not going to be approved. We have one in Los Angeles who's phenomenal. The senators, the Democrats are, again, they're kamikazes. The Democrats are not going to approve them. Blue slips are a disaster. So the only people I can get approved are Democrats. I was told that by the Democrats. We'll only approve Democrats. I said, really? He said, well, not going to work that way. Not going to work that way with me. But the blue slips are a total disaster. I have 10 people right now that are doing a phenomenal job, and they will be out of office pretty soon. They've got another 2-3 weeks, a couple of them, and then they're going to have to leave. And it's actually a blight on their record because, nobody knows why they left, but it looks like they served 8 weeks and then they had to leave. But they're not going to get the approval because the Democrat, radical left lunatic senators are saying you can't, we're not going to approve you. And if we're not going to approve you, I had actually one Republican who got 2 great letters, but it turned out that he was a rhino, but that was a nice term for him. Now, he got 2 letters of approval, and when I said 2 Democrats approved him, I had to fire him because I figured if 2 Democrats approved him, they wrote the most beautiful letters. I found out, man, this is strange. And he was no good. I fired him. He was really not much of a Republican. The recommendation of that one wasn't such a good recommendation. Somebody will tell you who recommended it, but it wasn't exactly the best. But when I saw 2, when I saw the 2 senators from Virginia gave him glowing marks, Tim, I said, let me see this. I read the most beautiful letters I've ever seen. I said, I called him up. I said, sorry, you're fired. Get the hell out of here. And but it's a horrible thing. Blue slips is a horrible thing because I have the right to pick judges and I have the right to pick U.S. attorneys, and this takes away the right from me. And I think we're going to go to court on it, and we'll see what happens in court. But it gives the president, it takes away the right of the president to pick people to serve on the court and to serve as U.S. attorneys, which is very important. But the biggest thing is the filibuster. We have to get the country going. We will pass legislation at levels you've never seen before, and it'll be impossible to beat us. By the way, if they do, they're going to do it anyway, and they are going to immediately do the filibuster. And when they do the filibuster, they're going to pack the court. They want at least 5 justices. Now I hear it's up to 5. I actually heard up to 7 and up to 9, okay? They want new judges. They want to pack the court, and they will do it in the first day, maybe the week. Maybe they'll slow it down because there's no reason to rush. But they'll do it in the first week. They'll vote on this. And I have friends over there that are Democrats. I'm close to a lot of people. And I asked them about that because some people say, well, maybe they won't do that. I mean, they destroyed the career of Manchin and Sinema, and they got them out. They were the only objectors. Nobody else is going to object. They're going to do it the first day. They're going to pack the court. They're going to make D.C. a state, and they're going to make Puerto Rico a state. So now they pick up 2 states. They pick up 4 senators. Okay? You think you have problems? They're going to do all of the things. They're going to pick up electoral votes. It's going to be a very, very bad situation. And it's done. It's done. As soon as they attain power. Now, if we do what I'm saying, they'll most likely never attain power because we will have passed every single thing that you can imagine that is good and all good for the country. And there'll be no reason to. If we don't do that, people say they're not doing much and they're in power. So the good news is we did the great, big, beautiful bill, and it's the greatest thing we could have done. And the smartest thing with John and our Speaker of the House, who's so good, Mike Johnson, we did all in one bill. If we didn't, John, it would be a problem because, we would have gotten a small piece passed. A lot of people wanted to do that. A lot of people didn't want to do that. They went along with me and John and everybody, and we got this thing passed. Honestly, it's 4 years worth of goodies. No tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on, think of it, no tax on overtime. It's an unbelievable tax cut for the workers and for business, where business is going to create jobs, and we're creating jobs at levels that nobody's ever seen before. All these things are good. We have to be able to get the word out. If we don't get the word out, we're making a very big mistake. So I have this long, beautiful, and very boring speech. I won't bother reading it, but because we can just start talking. And I think it's very important. We have to get the country open, and the way we're going to do it this afternoon is to terminate the filibuster. It's possible you're not going to do that, and I'm going to go by your wishes. You're very smart people. We're good friends, but I think it's a tremendous mistake. Really, it would be a tragic mistake, actually. It's time. It's time. If I thought they weren't going to approve, I'd sort of be with you. Be fine. I'd be neutral to with you. But knowing that they're going to pass it as soon as they get any semblance of control, they'll pass it first thing, then it's like we have to do it first. And we have 2 years, and we'll end up with 2-3 years, and we'll have this country so perfect. We will have passed more legislation than any Congress, than any group of senators or a group of congressmen. And we will get it through. They'll send it to us. We'll send it to them. It'll be a beautiful machine. Otherwise, we're just going to sit around and argue with these people all day long. And they're highly unrealistic. Many of them are radical left subversives, frankly. So I want to thank everybody, and we're going to talk. And I want to thank the press for treating us so really well for that foreign trip. It was an amazing way to just.
They said they're so glad to be a Canadian. Oh, yeah, other countries are laughing at us. Other countries are laughing at us. Who allows people to go hungry and they won't add money to what they've been approved by? If y'all don't realize, some of these people have gotten letters of what they're supposed to get for food stamps. And now they're saying you're not going to get that. They've actually gotten letters in the mail, what you're supposed to get on your food stamp card. Now that's not going on. There's people that are working and not getting paid. There's so much going on. Other countries are laughing at us. Real talk. Like the video. There's about 121 in the building. Please hit the like button. Press 3 if you knew where you're watching from. Press 3 if you knew where you're watching from. Press 5 if you've been here before, where you're watching from. And this will add sadness. I have to be careful what I say. This will add sadness to families. When a mother and father can't feed their children, that adds sadness to their families. When you have to decide, should I pay rent? Should I get groceries? That adds sadness. So pray for people. If you know people that need help, assistance, get them some canned goods, get them some spaghetti, get them some meat, get them some chicken. If you can help people, help people. But right now, families are struggling. Some are doing okay. They have jobs, they have income, they have a husband that can assist and help, but families are struggling. Yes, we need those files. We definitely need those files. Real talk.
It's an amazing meeting. Don't forget.
Let's let the commercial go past. Yes, we need those files. This is a sad shutdown, the longest shutdown ever. Let's continue fair use reaction clip.
It's an amazing meeting. Don't forget, 2 months ago, it looked like the whole world was in trouble over rare earth. And that's no longer even a subject that people talk about. It was all worked out very quickly. Without tariffs, I couldn't have done it. I put a 100% tariff on China. As soon as I heard it, within 20 minutes, I put a 100% tariff on China. When President Xi, who's really a friend of mine, as much as he can be a friend, he's tough. He's a tough man. Smart man, actually. Very smart.
Have y'all heard him talk about people in need once? Have y'all heard him talk about federal workers that's not getting paid and still going to work? Have y'all heard him talk about that? He's talking about everything but where the concerns are for the people.
The press doesn't like it when I call them very smart. You know, they think I'm not so.
Yeah, some people do work 2 jobs. Like the video as you guys come in. Like the video as you guys come in.
Doesn't call them smart, but at least 1.4 billion people, without question. In fact,
And other countries are getting snapped. Did y'all see that video I did where they were talking about other countries getting snapped? Like the video, fair use reaction clip.
during the meeting, we were there. A couple of you were there. Some of you saw it. So he's here, and he's got about 6 people on each side. And every one of those people was standing like this. They were in attention. And I made a comment to one of them, and he got no response. I said, he didn't answer me. I got no response. And President Xi didn't let him have any. So if there's any question, I said, I want my cabinet to behave like that. I'm demanding that I want them to.
We've almost met our quota for today. If I can get 100 people to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notifications. 100 people to hit the subscribe button and turn on your notifications.
Speak up like that, Tim. Just nice and straight. I never saw posture like that. I've never seen men so scared in their lives. They have the equivalent of a vice president. I said, are you going to answer my question? And he's like, he doesn't move. I said, what's wrong with this guy? Oh, I will answer all questions. Why don't you behave like that? JD doesn't behave like that. JD blends into conversations. I want to have that for at least a couple of days, okay, JD? We'll keep you long term, but a couple of days. A couple of days of that would be very good. Okay, I want to thank you, and we'll talk a little bit. And I see they set me up with a podium. I thought I'd just be sitting, but it's probably easier. I want to thank you all very much. Thank you to the press, and you can go, and we'll speak to you later. Thank you. I'm going to.
So sad.
This showerhead does much.
So sad. People are struggling. They're sitting around laughing. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
And his candidates and his policies in every place and in every way that they could. Donald Trump's explanation today for the Republican wipeout last night is that Donald Trump was not on the ballot. That's what he said.
Yes. Why didn't he release the files? Why wasn't the files released when he went to jail? That's the real question. Why was he the only one that went to jail and she was the only one went to jail? Many people should have went to jail. Why was he the only one? Hello? Those files should have been released when he went to jail.
The conservative Wall Street Journal editorial board has written a reply to that under the headline, Trump really was on the ballot. The Journal editorial says Mr. Trump was on the ballot, not literally, but nonetheless, as the main motivating force behind a dominating Democratic turnout. Winning Democratic candidates for governor in New Jersey and Virginia linked their opponents to Mr. Trump, driving Democratic voters to the polls and erasing the GOP gains in 2024 among Hispanics, black men, and independents. The result was a much bigger Democratic triumph than polls predicted. The tsunami was big enough. The Democrats were able to pick up 13 seats in the Virginia House of Delegates. They'll have 64 seats out of 100, which could give Democrats the chance to redistrict next year to gain congressional seats. And in California, where not a single name was on the ballot, voters stood in long lines to deliver 63% support for Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom's proposal for congressional redistricting in California that could add 4 or 5 seats for the Democrats to the House of Representatives and win control of the House of Representatives for the Democrats in next year's election. Every one of those California votes for that proposition was a vote against Donald Trump. Every one of them. The reason no previous president has ever considered pursuing any of the policies Donald Trump has pursued this year is that those policies are obviously politically suicidal. And And Donald Trump's bright idea today, during his politically suicidal government shutdown, is to partially shut down the air traffic control system in this country with the Thanksgiving travel surge approaching. Every day, Donald Trump finds a new way to weaken himself and weaken his party politically while making life in this country worse for millions of Americans. And now he wants to make it much worse for the millions of Americans who hope to go home for Thanksgiving this year. With less than a year into his presidency this time, Donald Trump is now the lamest of lame ducks ever to occupy the presidency. And sinking with him is the lamest group of Republican members of the House and Senate that the country has ever seen. The election returns last night indicate that a year from now, Democrats will win back control of the House of Representatives, and Donald Trump's administration and his incompetent cabinet members will be subject
to real investigations of their personal profiteering from government, real investigations of possible abuse of their office, real investigations of an FBI director who uses a government plane for date night. Democratic control of the House of Representatives means that most of the Trump madness can be stopped and in its tracks. And Donald Trump knows that. And so Donald Trump is living in fear tonight of just how bad election night is going to be for him next year. And just 12 hours after Donald Trump's electoral humiliation last night, in the United States Supreme Court this morning, Donald Trump was humiliated again when the Supreme Court, including the justices who Donald Trump appointed, ripped apart the biggest and stupidest policy lie of the Trump second term. At 11:22 a.m., when Neil Katyal rose to address the Supreme Court, the first sentence he spoke contained only 3 words: tariffs are taxes. And there it was, the pure economic truth and policy truth about tariffs that the founders of this government knew, and that every president has known, and every member of Congress has known until Donald Trump started lying about tariffs. The Trump tariff enforcers were seated in the front row at the Supreme Court today. Why? To try to intimidate the Supreme Court? The always goofy Howard Lutnick, the most incompetent Commerce Secretary in history, who is always the loudest laugh at every Trump joke, was there in the front row, bringing into the room a mind smaller than the smallest mind on the Supreme Court. And sitting beside him was the Secretary of the Treasury. In our lifetimes, the Secretary of the Treasury has never attended a Supreme Court hearing. The last Secretary of the Treasury known to have attended a Supreme Court hearing was the first Secretary of the Treasury, Alexander Hamilton.
Let's get the likes up, you guys. There's about 190 in the building. Can I get 90 people to double tap that screen? Let's get the likes up. Thumbs up the video, please. All you have to do is double tap the screen, hit the like button. You'll see the like button. Let's get the likes up. We've been live for 50-something minutes. Let's get the likes up. Thank you. 50 people to hit that like button. Let's double tap that screen so we can continue. It keeps us and pushes us in the algorithm. If you're new, press 3. If you've been here before, press 5. If you're new, press 3. If you've been here before, press 5. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
It was in 1796. Hamilton attended a Supreme Court hearing only when he was a former Secretary of the Treasury, the year that he attended that hearing.
Thanks for being here.
It is entirely possible that no currently serving Secretary of the Treasury has ever attended a Supreme Court hearing until the relentlessly ineffectual Scott Bessent, who appears to believe that the most important thing about being a Treasury Secretary is dressing the part.
Hello, welcome, welcome.
To say most ridiculously false things ever said about tariffs by a Treasury Secretary. Donald Trump himself had been threatening to attend the Supreme Court hearing, presumably as some kind of intimidation tactic. But he chose in the end to send his completely unintimidating court jesters instead. Donald Trump's lawyer, arguing in favor of his illegal and unconstitutional tariffs today, had a much more difficult time than the Trump tariff enablers do when they appear in very friendly TV interviews that they submit to. The Treasury Secretary and the Commerce Secretary have an open invitation to come on this program and discuss tariffs for the full hour or any amount of time that they choose.
You could spend the next few minutes scrolling through your phone.
Like the video, fair use. There's about 114 in the building. Continue to hit the like. Continue to hit subscribe and turn on your notifications. Thanks for being here. Fair use reaction clip.
But they haven't shown up. Today, they had to sit there silently when Neil Katyal said tariffs are taxes. And they had to sit there silently for all 2 hours and 40 minutes in which Donald Trump's lawyer never said that tariffs are not taxes. He didn't try to make that impossible point. It was simply an accepted fact of the case by all of the justices. Tariffs are taxes. 3 minutes after Neil Katyal's first sentence saying tariffs are taxes, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court said, quote, "The tariffs are a tax," end quote. That is how fully accepted that fact was during this argument. Chief Justice Roberts said, yes, sure, the tariffs are a tax, and that's a core power of Congress. Yes, sure. Not a single Supreme Court justice disagreed with the Chief or Neil Katyal about that. Tariffs are taxes is the single shortest sentence that exposes the lie of the Trump tariffs, which Donald Trump has claimed are paid by foreign countries.
Donald Trump's lawyer, the Solicitor General, didn't dare try to tell that lie to the Supreme Court today. Donald Trump's lawyer could not refute one word of Neil Katyal's exquisite opening 4 sentences in his brilliant argument today.
Tariffs are taxes. They take dollars from Americans' pockets and deposit them in the U.S. Treasury. Our founders gave that taxing power to Congress alone. Yet here, the president bypassed Congress and imposed one of the largest tax increases in our lifetimes.
Dollars from Americans' pockets. This is what Donald Trump has done. He has imposed one of the largest tax increases in our lifetimes by stealing a power that the founders explicitly gave to Congress alone. Not one word of that was disputed in any way before the Supreme Court today. Chief Justice Roberts made it very clear who pays the Trump tariffs in his first questions to Donald Trump's Solicitor General. Chief Justice Roberts said this about the Trump tariffs. Quote, "The vehicle is imposition of taxes on Americans, and that has always been the core power of Congress." The Supreme Court has spoken. Americans pay the Trump tariffs. Justice Sotomayor interrupted Donald Trump's Solicitor General early in his argument with a line a lawyer never wants to hear from a Supreme Court justice: "I just don't understand this argument."
I just don't understand this argument. It's not an article. It's a congressional power, not a presidential power to tax. And you want to say tariffs are not taxes, but that's exactly what they are. They're generating money from American citizens, revenue. And you say incidental to the regulatory purpose. But I don't see how a quota is equivalent to revenue raising. A quota sets a limit to what you can import in, but it doesn't generate revenue.
There were no sharp disagreements among the justices. Not a single justice disagreed with Justice Sotomayor's statement that tariffs are paid by American citizens. The Solicitor General tried to argue that federal law that gives the president an emergency authority to regulate some aspects of international trade gives Donald Trump unlimited power to impose tariffs. Justice Sotomayor pointed out that Congress never uses the word regulate to mean tax. And Neil Katyal made this point about the word regulate.
The word regulate is words regulate importation. The word regulate has never been used. The Congress uses the term 1,499 times. We got about that number of hits when we looked at it. And maybe there's some double counting, but it is never used even once to impose taxes or revenue raising.
The Trump-appointed Supreme Court Justice Neil Gorsuch showed how a newly invented presidential tariff power could become a nightmare scenario for Republicans.
Could the president impose a 50% tariff on gas-powered cars and auto parts to deal with the unusual and extraordinary threat from abroad of climate change?
It's very likely that can be done. That's very likely.
I think that has to be the logic of your view.
Yeah.
Yes, that is the logic of his view. That is exactly what the Trump argument is. And in her final comments to the Solicitor General of Oregon, who was also arguing against the tariffs today, Justice Sonia Sotomayor emphasized why the power to raise revenue through tariffs and taxes was deliberately given to Congress by the authors of the Constitution.
That's a good point. What we're forgetting here is a very fundamental point, which is the Constitution is structured so that if I'm going to be asked to pay for something as a citizen, that it's through a bill that is generated through Congress and the president has the power to veto it or not, but I'm not going to be taxed unless both houses, the executive and the legislature, have made that choice, correct?
That's exactly right.
That is exactly right, and it was a very bad day for the lame duck, Donald Trump, now the humiliated duck, Donald Trump, at the United States Supreme Court.
Like the video, fair use reaction clip. Don't forget to hit subscribe. There's about 218 in the building. Please hit subscribe and turn on your notifications, please. And thank you. Let's continue to get the likes up. The likes should match the views. And to hit the like button is free. So let's get the likes up. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip. Thanks for being here.
And we are just getting started. It's a golden age like you've never seen before. From the steel mills of Pittsburgh to the oil wells of Houston, from the car plants of Detroit, and those car plants are pouring into our country, to the coal mines of West Virginia, those coal mines are opening up one after another, clean, beautiful coal.
Joining us now.
Yeah, just
Sometimes that's all it requires.
Yeah.
Joining us now, Pennsylvania's Democratic Governor Josh Shapiro. Governor, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We will get to Speaker Pelosi and her legacy in a moment, but let's start right there. President Trump's comments, but more than that, they come, of course, in the wake of a really big night for Democrats in a number of states across the country on Tuesday. What sort of momentum do you feel building? What sort of lessons do you think the party can take from this as it looks towards the midterms and beyond?
I think there were two clear messages the American people sent, and that is from gubernatorial races in Virginia and in New Jersey, all the way to the county executive race in Bellwether, Erie County. Number one, they said they want to support candidates who are actually going to make their lives better, actually bring down costs, unlike what Donald Trump was saying, actually fix the issues in their communities. And at the same time, they showed up to the polls to send a direct message to Donald Trump. We don't like your chaos. We don't like you eviscerating our freedoms and undermining our democracy. You saw that in California, New York, New Jersey, here in Pennsylvania, Virginia, and elsewhere. I think it was a very clear message the American people sent, and I think we've got real momentum going forward.
Governor Shapiro, I'm curious, there's momentum moving forward for sure, but what do you think the challenges are ahead still with this administration and past experience in terms of how they've treated and handled elections, respected the process, and can Democrats just bank on being good on the issues, or does more need to be done by governors like you, secretaries of state, in terms of the election process?
Well, I think Democrats have to walk and chew gum at the same time. First, we got to get stuff done for people. That's what we do here in Pennsylvania. That's what I know Governor-elect Sherrill and Governor-elect Spanberger and others are going to do, deliver for people. Folks are frustrated because they're being hurt by Donald Trump and his policies and the Republicans who lead Congress. So they want us to get stuff done. The second thing we've got to do is safeguard our democracy. Make no mistake, Donald Trump is going to try to undermine our midterm elections again. I'll remind you, Mika, we've talked about this in the past. In the 2020 election, I had to take Donald Trump to court 43 times to protect the votes here in Pennsylvania. By the way, I went 43-0. He went 0-43. We had a free and fair, safe, and secure election. We're going to have to do that.
43 times? That's crazy. Like the video, like the video.
Our midterm elections again. I'll remind you, Mika, we've talked about this in the past. In the 2020 election, I had to take Donald Trump to court 43 times to protect the votes here in Pennsylvania. By the way, I went 43-0. He went 0-43. We had a free and fair, safe, and secure election. We're going to have to do that again. I think it's going to be on governors and attorneys general to ensure that when voters go to the polls, that the will of the people will be respected. I'm confident in our abilities to stand up to Donald Trump, stand up for the rule of law, but make no mistake, he's coming for your freedoms. He is coming to undermine our democracy. He's made no bones about the fact that he wants to rig the process going forward, and we have to stand tall. I think we can do that. We can both deliver for the people we serve and protect our democracy.
Governor, how focused should Democrats be on redistricting efforts as part of the kind of campaign leading toward the midterms here, and especially in the wake of Tuesday's elections? What message do you think the voters were sending about what they want from the Democratic Party?
The voters were very clear in California. I appreciate Governor Newsom's leadership. The voters were very clear. They're not going to let Greg Abbott and Donald Trump rig the election in Texas and just hand the Republicans, whatever it was, about 4 or 5 more seats. I think what Californians did was a real service to America. They basically said, we're going to cancel out what Texas is doing. And then we go and we have a good old fair fight, traditional elections. And I think you're going to see here in Pennsylvania, we have more competitive congressional seats than any other state. We've got 4 of them here. And so not only will I be working to get myself reelected next year, but to make sure that we win those 4 seats, that we win the U.S. House of Representatives, we stop Donald Trump's destructive policies from being able to get through the Congress of the United States. So the people of Pennsylvania, well, we were there in the beginning when our democracy was established. We're going to do everything we can next fall in the midterms to protect our democracy by winning those seats.
Governor Shapiro, so we are in this historic government shutdown. There's no other word for it. Longest. We have these SNAP benefits. The administration has the money for them. This is the first administration ever to just, defy court orders on SNAP. Talk us through. A lot of Democrat AGs are suing. Where are you guys with SNAP? 40% of SNAP recipients are children.
2 million Pennsylvanians rely on SNAP. Our entire population is 13.
And you got to remember, too, some of the college students get SNAP. Some of the college students get SNAP. What are they supposed to do? Hopefully their parents can help them during their time of need, but those parents are also helping in regards to their college. Like the video, fair use, reaction clip. Please hit the subscribe button. Please hit the subscribe button and turn on your notification. Let's continue to get the likes up. There's about 166 in the building. If 100 people hit subscribe, I'll meet my quota. Thank you. Let's continue.
Million people. This is real stuff. Donald Trump's playing games and building ballrooms and doing a whole bunch of stuff that show he actually really doesn't give a damn about those people who don't have food. These are folks who are relying on their SNAP cards being loaded up with the money they need to provide groceries for their kids on November 1st, and they didn't get that. And there's a real effect to this, even though the president and the Republicans who control Congress seem to not want to see it. I was heading to a polling place just a couple days ago in Philadelphia, and as I was driving there was a line that was 2 to 3 blocks long and then turned the corner and kept going as far as the eye can see. These were folks just lined up at a pop-up food bank, just trying to get the bare necessities they need to feed their family. That is not okay. The Republicans control Congress. They control the White House. They got to show the hell up to work and do their job, pass their budget, and make sure that SNAP benefits get funded. For my part, here in Pennsylvania, here's what we've done. Number one, we sued the president and won. The problem is the administration is not adhering to the judge's ruling and at least releasing the funds that the judge said to release. And number two,
so the judge placed the order. They're still not releasing the funds. Sad that the children are understanding that something is going on and they're not receiving the same type of food they were receiving last month. They're not receiving that same type of food this month. It's sad that they're allowing this. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip. The children should not have to suffer, period. Single parents, period. Children that's in college, period. They shouldn't have to suffer from this.
Declared an emergency here in Pennsylvania to be able to move dollars, millions of dollars, into food banks so that those who need extra help have a place to go with shelves that are going to be stocked and food and nourishment that's going to be available for them and their children. Listen, it is shameful that here in the United States, our great farmers produce an extraordinary amount of food, enough food for the American people to eat, and yet the president has broken the bond between our farmers, who rely on SNAP, and those who rely on SNAP to eat. He broke that righteous bond that exists between our farmers and those who are hungry in our communities. It is time for them to pass their budget and fund SNAP.
Governor, you're well aware, more aware than anybody, about how hard Democrats worked in 2024 to win states like Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan. You saw how close it got in New Jersey, how close it got in Virginia, and the demographics just broke away from Democrats quite dramatically. It was just the opposite on Tuesday night. A lot of groups that broke hard right a year ago, earlier this week, broke back this way a year later toward the Democratic Party. Talk about the environment. What do you think the main driver was, and what is the lessons Democrats take forward between now and next year's midterm elections?
We need to be out front, delivering for people, getting stuff done for the people we represent, and listening to folks so we can speak to the direct issues that matter to them. I mean, you saw that with Mikey Sherrill in New Jersey, speaking directly about the high cost of energy, and she said she'll declare an emergency and freeze those energy rates. You saw that with Abigail Spanberger.
Yes, let's talk about the elderly, the disabled. People need food. No one would have ever thought last year that this would even be happening. No one would have ever thought 4 months ago that this would be happening. The elderly need food. They were already struggling. Like I said, when I go to the grocery store and I see the elderly with a bunch of, small groceries, I try and pay for the groceries. The elderly were already struggling. Now they're really struggling. This is sad. It's really sad. If you see an elderly person struggling and you see that they only got a few dollars, try and help them if you can. They were already struggling.
Talking about producing more energy in Virginia. You saw that in so many different ways where these candidates were speaking specifically to the issues that mattered most. And in addition to that, you saw voters not only appreciate that message of these guys trying to solve problems for them, but voters also sent a message to Donald Trump. We're tired of your chaos. We love our democracy. Stop ripping it away. And we value our freedoms. And what we have seen is Donald Trump eviscerating our freedoms, undermining the needs of the American people. And you had a clear contrast in this election between what Donald Trump is doing to this country and what great candidates like Sherrill Spanberger and others want to do to move us forward.
Absolutely. Pennsylvania's Democratic Governor Josh Shapiro, it's always good to see you. Great to have you back.
So if you can, keep some singles with you. So that way, if you see a person struggling, even if you hand them $3 or $4, $5, $10, that will help them. If you see somebody struggling, get some change, break down a 20. So that way, if you need to bless somebody, give them $10, give them $15. If you can't bless somebody, but if you can't, I understand. But, do whatever you can in regards to helping the elderly. Real talk.
Back on the show. Thank you very much.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Or if you see a mother trying to buy some Pampers for their child, if you can give her $5, $10, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of people that's struggling, y'all. This is crazy. No one would have ever thought. No one would have ever thought that this would be happening in our country. Real talk. Real talk. Like the video, fair use reaction clip. Like the video as you guys come in. Thanks for being here. Thanks for supporting.
I wonder how that plays in Peoria. Government and illegal aliens, we want bigger paychecks for American workers.
President Trump plans to focus on the economy and affordability following Tuesday's elections. Top political advisor to the president told Politico yesterday, quote, "I think you'll see him be very, very focused on prices and cost of living." Those were the key messages for gubernatorial candidates Mikey Sherrill and Abigail Spanberger, as well as Zohran Mamdani in the New York City mayoral race. All three, of course, easily won their elections on Tuesday. But in his speech to business leaders in Miami yesterday, President Trump bragged about the state of the economy.
We have the greatest economy right now. A lot of people don't see that. But if you look at what's happening with all the factories, AI, auto plants all over the country being built, that if you would have thought about that 2 or 3 years ago, you would have said it was the opposite. They were all leaving. Now they're all coming in. They're all coming back and then some. And I think that we can honestly say, and I think you're going to see it even more so over the next 12 months, that this is the golden age of America. This is the golden age. After last night's results, the decision facing all Americans could not be more clear. We have a choice between communism and common sense. Does that make sense to you? Common sense. It's common sense or communism. And you know, you take a look back 1,000 years, it hasn't worked. If it worked, we'd be using it, I guess, but it hasn't worked. Our opponents are offering an economic nightmare. We're delivering an economic miracle. We have delivered in 9 months. This is the biggest investment of funds in a country in history by many times. That's good. They want higher spending for government and illegal aliens. We want bigger paychecks for American workers and American families, and that's what we're delivering. You see that? They stand for crime and chaos and corruption. We stand for law and order and justice. Also, strong borders. Boy, do we have strong borders.
Feels like voters might have had a different take. Hours after that speech, the president posted on social media that affordability is a Republican stronghold, and it is what helped him get elected in 2024. But obviously, voters feel Republicans' focus has shifted. Still, House Speaker Mike Johnson appears to be brushing off Tuesday's election results. I want to play for you some of what he had to say yesterday.
I can't confirm or deny if that's the proper number. Be kind in the comments. Be kind in the comments. I normally let people do whatever they want to do in the comments, but I can't confirm or deny if that's the proper information. Be kind. Press 3 if you knew where you're watching from. Press 3 if you knew where you're watching from. Press 5 if you've been here before, where you're watching from. Let's continue to get the likes up, everyone. There's about 99 in the building. Please hit subscribe. If all 99 hit subscribe, that'll be a great day for me. Let's continue. Fair use.
There's no surprises. What happened last night was blue states and blue cities voted blue. We all saw that coming. And no one should read much into last night's election results. Off-year elections are not indicative of what's to come. That's what history teaches us.
It's a convenient way to read the situation, despite the fact that Virginia elected a Republican governor quite popularly just 4 years ago in the last election. Still, those comments came shortly after President Trump acknowledged that the shutdown did play a role in the party's losses.
Hello, Chicago.
So we'd have a discussion after the press leaves about what last night represented and what we should do about it, and also about the shutdown, how that relates to last night. I think if you read the pollsters, the shutdown was a big factor, negative for the Republicans.
I've got some reporting on what those private conversations were after the press did leave. But first, Congresswoman and House Republican Conference Chair Lisa McClain offered this explanation for GOP losses.
The voter turnout from Republicans was not high. Not high at all. But I think part of that reason is because Republicans, for the most part, are happy with what's happening. The border's closed. Crime is down. Inflation under Biden used to be 9%. It's now down to 3%. Interest rates are down. Mortgages down. Let me just finish. Let me just give you the other side. I shop at the same grocery store as everybody else does.
So you say prices are up.
Is there more work that needs to be done? Absolutely there is.
If you're like me and are tired of your skinny jeans but want to find...
Hit the subscribe button. Hit the subscribe button. Please hit the subscribe button. We're almost at our quota. If I get all 94 people to hit subscribe, let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
All right, so affordability was one side of the coin in the elections, but the president just said the shutdown had an impact, and he's talking about it. Because as the shutdown drags on, Trump continues to push his desire to scrap the Senate filibuster rule, but doesn't appear to be swaying some key members of his own party. Trump privately aired these frustrations to Republican senators at a private breakfast yesterday, arguing Republicans would become, in his words, a dead party if they didn't act on ending this long-standing Senate rule that requires 60 votes to pass most legislation. He framed it as something Republicans have to do, specifically around the shutdown. But Republican lawmakers are largely rejecting that idea, with Senate Majority Leader John Thune telling reporters yesterday the votes aren't there to get rid of it, and that an end to the filibuster, in his words, is not happening. Trump's calls ramped up, though, after growing Republican anxiety over fallout from the shutdown and poor off-year election results on yesterday. He tied the two together directly. Still, as GOP senators dismiss the idea, they recognize the pressure of the shutdown is mounting. Republicans say they're close to finalizing a package of full-year funding measures for select federal agencies, and they met with Democratic negotiators on Tuesday, but obstacles still remain. Joining us in the land of obstacles, Capitol Hill reporter Julie Grace Brufke. You and I are on Capitol Hill every day, just sort of wondering, are we there yet? Which feels apt given the fact that they are now starting to cut the number of flights because the FAA pressure is getting so much that they're beginning to wonder about air safety amid the government shutdown. So I think the open question is, what impact did the elections have, and does it change anything in terms of getting us out of the shutdown posture?
No, I feel like there's definitely no deal yet. The Democrats are supposed to meet later today. I feel like all the Democrats I've talked to feel like
the video, I'm still here.
Getting this vote on healthcare subsidies, which they'll likely get a standalone vote there, but they feel like that's really a referendum, and the voters are kind of pushing them to kind of continue to dig in there. Now, Republicans I've talked to have said they feel like things are thawing a little bit, and they think they could get there, especially before Thanksgiving travel.
Yeah, that is, I think, the hope. I think for Democrats, they're looking at it and saying, see, there's upside to what we're doing. Voters like that we're standing up for healthcare, which is one of the key pieces of cost of living. I think Republicans are feeling pressure on this, but it's stunning to me how many of them are not feeling that pressure manifest as pressure to get to the negotiating table. They're feeling it as pressure to maybe heed the calls of the president. I had Josh Hawley say to me yesterday, if you have me choosing between helping my constituents and defending an arcane piece of Senate procedure, I'm going to pick helping my constituents. That's how he's boiling it down. But as long as Thune is saying they're not getting rid of the filibuster, it doesn't really matter, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I've talked to Republicans that are pro getting rid of the filibuster that are still like the votes aren't there. I mean, it's been interesting, especially on the healthcare subsidies, to kind of see who the Republicans that are pushing for this. You've got kind of Marjorie Taylor Greene out on the forefront of this. But, I mean, leadership, they feel like healthcare needs a full overhaul, and those talks need to be happening. And I mean, I think Democrats very well could manage to rally enough Republicans to get behind passing those subsidies, but I guess we'll have to see how much pressure kind of continues to mount on Republicans there.
The thing that's interesting to me is the way that this bipartisan group is starting to coalesce around some key ideas, but when it comes to the affordable subsidies, and again, the group hasn't presented what their negotiated positions are, but what I keep hearing is that on the ACA subsidies, it might just be a simple one-year extension. Why wouldn't Republicans notch a win in the same way the Democrats are going to call it a win on something that would be politically problematic for them?
I mean, I think at this point, both sides have been so dug in on the issue, but when it comes down to it, if I'm a betting girl, I feel like it probably ends up being a one-year extension on that, because I think voters really are kind of, I've talked to a lot of lawmakers that are hearing about this back home, which I think it is a big issue where even on the right, there is kind of a push for that.
Ultimately, what is your best estimate of when this ends, how this ends? I mean, it's such a big question, but I think that some people came into this week hearing Ted Cruz say, oh, we'll vote to get out of it on Wednesday. And even I was like, would that it were true, but no.
I mean, there's definitely been a lot of predictions out there, and I mean, I think probably before Thanksgiving, but I mean,
good morning.
Kind of pop up in the next few days and what other issues start to emerge. But I mean, I've talked to members on both sides that feel like things are starting to this by.
Press 3 if you knew where you're watching from. Press 3 if you knew where you're watching from. Press 5 you've been here before, where you're watching from. Can I get 50 people to double tap that screen to get the likes up? And thank you.
Talks are kind of starting to come together, but Capitol Hill's a wild place, so it's you never know what's coming at you.
It's why we love it, and also this is a clear instance of it just not working the way that it's supposed to. Do you think that breakfast with Trump yesterday made a tough situation tougher? Because he's clearly not telling his members, please negotiate this. He's saying, just bulldoze Democrats.
Yeah, I mean, I think the push to get rid of the filibuster versus push to, I think definitely with moderate senators that would like to really see a bipartisan, it doesn't make things easier, make those talks easier, and I think it definitely motivates progressives to kind of push forward on we should be moving forward with our agenda because we're going to get steamrolled on these things if this moves forward.
Yeah, I think that's always been the story. And these shutdowns, I think, are hard to cover, too, because you just end up covering the same stop-start negotiations until something doesn't stop after it started. And we're maybe at the point where that's about to be true, but right now it just feels like a lot of momentum, and then all of a sudden that just falls back. But that is Capitol Hill negotiating around a shutdown. We've seen here many a time before.
This is true. It's starting to feel like Groundhog Day, but eventually we'll get there.
No, it always does. Until it's over, it will feel that way. Capitol Hill reporter Julie Grace Brufke, it was excellent to see you. Thanks for starting.
Like the video. Fair use reaction clip. Like the video as you guys come in. Please hit the subscribe button as you guys come in as well. Thanks for being here. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip. Like the video as you guys come in and hit subscribe, and thank you.
What happened last night was blue states and blue cities voted blue. We all saw that coming. And no one should read too much into last night's election results. Off-year elections are not indicative of what's to come. That's what history teaches us. By the way, it's worthy of note that Zohran Mamdani himself only received a little over 1 million votes, 1,036,000 votes. There are 8.3 million residents in New York City. 8.5 million actually is the number, I think. So about 12% of the city voted to turn their city over to the communists. We'll see how that works out.
What happened last night was blue states and blue cities voted blue. Now, I hate to be that guy, but Democrats flipped 2 statewide seats in Georgia for the first time in more than 2 decades, and they won them both by 25 points. Democrats flipped state Senate seats in Mississippi, breaking the GOP supermajority in the chamber. Democrats retained their 5-2 state Supreme Court majority in Pennsylvania, a state that Donald Trump won in this last election. Democrats flipped every statewide seat they ran for and flipped 13 seats in the House of Delegates in Virginia, a southern state with a Republican governor, Republican lieutenant governor, and Republican attorney general. So I get that the total rebuke here is stinging, but the copium that Mike Johnson is huffing really isn't doing him any favors. But he continues.
So it's very clear who's responsible for this. And I think that when we go into next year in the midterms, we're very bullish about the outcome. We have an extraordinary record to run on. You mentioned, Leader Scalise mentioned sort of what we call the split screen. And I'll remind you all again, under President Trump and Republicans, we have had an extraordinary run. The first 9-10 months of this, 9 months, the 10th month has been shut down because of the Democrats. The first 9 months of this Congress and this administration, arguably the most productive of all time. We cut taxes, cut regulations, cut waste, fraud, and abuse in government.
Very bullish, an extraordinary record. I mean, where do we even begin? They can tell the American people they cut Medicaid from 17 million Americans, that they cut food assistance to the tune of $350 billion, that they shut down the government because they're trying to ensure that your health care is 2, 3, 4, 5 times more expensive than it was before.
Like the video.
That the cost of everything went up because Trump wanted to do a trade war, and the Republicans in Congress didn't have the balls to assert their own authority. That while all of this was going on, Trump's focus was on building himself a $350 million ballroom, on renovating the Lincoln bathroom in marble, on paving over the Rose Garden, on encrusting the Oval Office in gold, on retrofitting a Qatari jet to the tune of $1 billion paid for by us, on buying Kristi Noem a couple of Gulfstream jets for a cool $172 million, or on hosting crypto dinners where he casually doubled his net worth. Frankly, there's so much that Republicans could run on. I don't even know where they would start. The irony, of course, is that Donald Trump ran an entire campaign wherein he cosplayed as a populist. He said he was focused on the cost of housing, of rent, of groceries, of eggs, and yet the second he got into office, he not only didn't focus on those things, he exacerbated them. I know that Trump and Republicans love to treat their base like they're stupid, but at some point, people can see that they are being lied to, and they made that abundantly clear at the ballot box. And of course, Mike Johnson went on.
I don't think the loss last night was any reflection about Republicans at all. I think people are frustrated and angry, as we are. I am, the president is. And we express that different ways. But look, we look forward. We're looking forward to a great election running on our record, and we're gonna get all of our incumbents reelected, and we're gonna add to the number here. So that's the answer.
I don't think the loss last night was any reflection about Republicans at all. Look, this is a rare instance where I'm not going to stand in between Republicans and their plans. If the lesson that Mike Johnson and his party want to learn from this is no lesson at all, more power to him. Frankly, I'm in favor of it. I think they should write off every single county in Virginia shifting to the left. I think they should ignore the fact that Democrats are taking statewide races in southern states for the first time in decades. I think they should do everything exactly the same as they're doing it right now and change nothing. Because remember, you Republican elected officials are in government not to help your constituents, not to make sure people have jobs or health care, not to keep costs down, but to serve Donald Trump. You are there to validate every word that falls out of his face as the result of some errant synapse firing in his brain, even if those words directly contradict your own long-held positions. Because this era in Republican politics is about debasing yourself as thoroughly as possible. It is about you nestling yourself far up his ass, as far up as humanly possible. It's about making sure the entire world knows that you stand for nothing other than blind allegiance and slavish devotion to one man. A man who, by the way, would not lift a finger to help you if he didn't think that he could derive some personal benefit from it first. This is a party of self-proclaimed alphas who simultaneously bend over for Daddy Trump the moment they hear him coming. And that's a point, by the way, that Elizabeth Warren made here.
I see the comments. It's just like it was before. And that is the Republicans, they look around and know what's going on. They're getting the phone calls in their offices. They know how much the American people, including, by the way, the majority of Republicans, want these cuts restored so that people can afford their health insurance. They know all that. They're just more afraid of Donald Trump than they are interested in representing their own constituents. And so Donald Trump may be telling them, hey, as we're speeding along this highway, there may be an exit ramp coming up here. And the minute he tells them that, we'll be ready to go and sit down and negotiate a deal. Remember, we're still sitting here waiting literally for the first negotiating session. So far, Republicans, zero, have not been willing to negotiate.
The reality is that the American people are not stupid. They can see the difference between the things that Trump and Republicans say and what they do. And while Mike Johnson might want to play make-believe, he does so at his own peril. The voters spoke out loud and clear last night, and if the lesson that Johnson and the rest of his conference want to take away is we're perfect, let's not change a thing, then he shouldn't be surprised when the election results come midterms don't change either. And one last point here. The coalition that drove Democratic victories across the country was not solely composed of Democrats. It was a coalition composed of Americans left, right, and center who recognized the reality of where this administration and his party's priorities lie. This is not a left versus right fight. This is a top versus bottom fight, where a very small minority of wealthy individuals use culture war issues as a wedge to distract all of us while keeping all of the benefits, financial and otherwise, onto themselves. That may have worked in the 2024 election, but the con is up. Americans are aware, and unfortunately for Trump, Mike Johnson, and the GOP, the lies are falling on deaf ears.
Like the video, like the video. Okay, let's go ahead and do hot topics, trending topics right now. Like the videos, you guys come in. Thanks for being here. We're about to do hot topics, trending topics, and get into what's being talked about in the news. So let's see. The longest shutdown. The longest shutdown. And you can see the numbers. Like the video as you guys come in. The longest shutdown. So out of touch. It's being reported that Kim allegedly used ChatGPT to help in regards to her test, and allegedly she failed. Remember how she had said that she was going to become a lawyer? Remember how she had said that? So I don't know. Did she really fail, or is she looking for media attention? Every week she's looking for media attention. It's kind of very interesting. And then remember how she had said something about she talked about Kanye. She's talked about she's about to become a lawyer. Yeah, it's a constant. Blaming Kanye last month, now blaming ChatGPT that she's not going to become a lawyer. So let's get into, let's see. And they're saying that her show is not doing well as well. Yep, she blamed Kanye for her health concerns, not her busy schedule, you know. So let's see, hold on one second. Like the video as you guys come in. Like the video as you guys come in. Like the video as you guys come in.
So get this, Kim Kardashian is blaming ChatGPT for failing the California bar exam. During an interview with Tiana Taylor, Kardashian revealed she used the AI chatbot to study. Kardashian revealed that she used ChatGPT for legal advice. She also talked about getting mad at it and yelling at it as well. She also called the chatbot her friend and urged it to do better.
So if you knew that it was not telling you the truth prior to, why would you use that for your exam? Like the video, like the video. Fair use reaction clip.
Kim Kardashian is blaming ChatGPT for failing her law exams. The Kardashian star, who graduated from her law program in May, reveals that she used ChatGPT to help her study for her school exams, but it occasionally steered her in the wrong direction. Kim tells her All's Fair co-star,
"Can you use chat for your exam? Shouldn't she be not using an app to do her test? Wait a minute. I just thought about that. How can you use an app for your test? Shouldn't you be not having an app open? Is it me?"
For Tiana Taylor during their November 3rd appearance on Vanity Fair's Lie Detector Test series. "I use it for legal advice. So when I need to know the answer to a question, I'll take a picture and put it in there." Tiana goes on to ask Kim if she considers that method as cheating, but the Skims founder immediately points out the machine's many flaws.
Using it as cheating. How was she able to use that?
Saying, "They're always wrong. It has made me fail tests all the time. And then I'll get mad."
So if you know it's made you fail tests, why you continue to use it?
And I'll yell at it. You made me fail. Why did you do this? And it will talk back to me. However, Kim, who shares kids North St. Chicago and Psalm with ex-husband Kanye West, is still on the path to becoming a lawyer. She shares on the October 24th episode of The Graham Norton Show, I will be qualified in 2 weeks. I hope to practice law. Maybe in 10
So she says she should be qualified in 2 weeks.
years, I think I'll give up being Kim K and be a trial lawyer. That's what I really want.
So what does that mean, to give up being Kim K to be a trial lawyer? Oh, anyway, let's continue with Hot Topics, trending topics. And if you did not know, the show that she's on, I guess they're saying the numbers are down. Let's continue.
So bad. Danielle Grant is starving. I'm trying to see if I can get some food because I literally don't have anything to eat today or tomorrow. So we're going to try to make ends meet, and we can. Desperate for food, nowhere to go. Grant and many others got to the Hope Line today just to make an appointment to come back later in the week for food. Resources are slim, leaving 40% of Bronxites without money to feed themselves. Some still in shock. We've heard things before, but it's like, they're not going to let people starve. That's ridiculous, but it's like, no, that's literally like what's happening.
We hope the food pantries maintain open, because if they don't stay open, I really don't know what we're going to do next.
We asked people their reaction to hearing that the Trump administration will partially fund the SNAP program. People say it's not going to do much. They have families to feed and already struggled at the end of every month when they were receiving the full amount.
Wow, not enough. At least there's something to hold on, but I think everybody's going to have to get a second job.
It doesn't really last the whole month. Probably like 2 or 3 weeks, and then by the last week you got to scramble to find, things. This couple has 4 kids. The mom says pantries aren't always reliable.
They have limited supply, or by the time we get to the front of the line, then it's really nothing there, so it's hard.
She says she's holding on to faith. Meanwhile, others are worried hunger will drive crime rates up. We don't know how much money will be reloaded onto people's cards and when that will be. In Longwood, Lindsay Tanny, News 12, The Bronx.
That's sad. Y'all see how she was crying?
It's really bad. Danielle Grant is starving. I'm trying to see if I can get some food because I literally don't have anything to eat today or tomorrow. So we're going to try to make ends meet, and we can. Desperate for food, nowhere to go. Grant and many others got to the Hope Line today just to make an appointment to come back later in the week for food. Resources are slim, leaving 40% of Bronxites without money to feed themselves. Some still in shock. We've heard things before, but it's like, they're not going to let people starve. That's ridiculous, but it's like, no, that's literally like what's happening.
We hope the food pantries maintain open, because if they don't stay open, I really don't know what we're going to do next.
We asked their reaction to hearing that the Trump administration will partially fund the SNAP program. People say it's not going to do much. They have families to feed and already struggled at the end of every month when they were receiving the full amount.
Wow, not enough. At least there's something to hold on, but I think everybody's going to have to get a second job.
It doesn't really last the whole month. Probably like 2 or 3 weeks, and then by the last week you got to scramble to find, things. This couple has 4 kids. The mom says pantries aren't always reliable.
They have limited supply, or by the time we get to the front of the line, then it's really nothing there, so it's hard.
She says she's holding on to faith.
Be kind in the comments. There's all cultures and race speaking up right now, but y'all want to shade the black girl? Stop playing in my comments. Y'all can tell what culture I am. Y'all seeing all races and cultures, and y'all blaming the black girl. Stop playing in my comments.
She's starving.
Let's continue. Be kind in the comments. Different cultures and races are struggling.
Ballot in 2026. President Trump is on the ballot next fall. Because if we lose the majority of the Republicans, the common sense people here who are doing the job for the American people, if we lose the majority in the House and this radical element of the Democratic Party were able to take over, we've already seen that movie. They will try to end the Trump administration. He won't have 4 years, he'll have only 2. And they will try to systematically unwind all the important reforms that we've done for the American people.
Like the video. Like the video. We're just
Come to
doing,
the right place.
we're just doing hot topics, trending topics. I guess Blueface would like to fight Jake Paul. Let's continue. Like the videos, you guys come in. Like the videos, you guys come in. We're just doing some quick hot topics, trending topics. Like I said, this is the government shutdown numbers. This is what we do. And then this is Kim copying Beyonce. Have y'all noticed the Kardashians love to copy people? She's teaching North the same thing. Why is she copying Beyonce? She ain't got nothing better to do. Kim feels that she must trend almost every month. She feels she must trend every month. What is going on? Jennifer Lopez right now is trending in regards to the Diddy situation. Did Jennifer Lopez with Ben Affleck, did her dating Diddy, did it affect her relationship with Ben? Or was there a bunch of stuff? It seems like it. Remember last month she said that her exes couldn't love her. They just couldn't give her what she needed. She's been in a lot of relationships. Where was Diddy friends during his whole trial? A lot of people didn't show up and show out. Was Diddy trying to reach out to J-Lo to get her also to write a letter? Did her situation and her dating situation mess up her relationship with Ben? Possibly. Because remember, when they had that club situation, that was trending when she was with Ben. And Ben was like over it. But there's that. Barack has been speaking out. This is Krishan and Blueface. They've been trending. He's been hanging out with Krishan. She's been kissing all over him, helping him in the studio. People are like, was she just dating another dude last month? But we'll see. He needs to be careful because I'm sure his probation officer is watching. So there's that. He spoke out. Okay, was there anything else I wanted to speak about? 50 Cent reacts to Mary. Let's see. He's saying it's over. He's saying let's pack up. 50 Cent is something else. Okay, was there anything else? President Obama says the economy is booming. He's saying the economy is booming. Y'all agree with that? Okay, like the video, like the video. It's being reported that the case has been dismissed. Jay-Z's son had been trying to get him to do a DNA, and he would not do a DNA. This has been a 10-year situation. Jay-Z did not want to do that DNA test. Should he have did a DNA test? Everybody was saying he couldn't do a DNA test because if he was the father, the mother at the age that she was. So now they're saying the case is dismissed and it's being reported he cannot file the case again. Do you think he looks like Jay-Z? Let me know. I know someone that looks like Jay-Z too, but I'm not saying that was his dad, but I know somebody that looks so similar to Jay-Z. Okay, you guys. I have been live for a long time. I've been live for an hour, 42 minutes. So copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comments, news reporting, teaching, scholarships and research. Fair use is used permitted by a copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. All comments are alleged, in our opinion, and for entertainment purposes only. A lot of times we'll do politics in the beginning and then we do hot topics, trending topics towards the end. I hope everyone has hit subscribe. There's about 88 people in the building. If you did not hit subscribe, please hit subscribe. That'll be an amazing day for me if all 88 hit the subscribe button. If all 88 hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification. Yeah, he doesn't want to do the test. And are you guys surprised that Beyonce's not making him do the test? But if it comes out that he is the dad, that won't look good on his career. So it's been dismissed and the case allegedly cannot be refiled. So he's been trying for many, many years. And unfortunately, it's sad that his mother has passed. The mother has passed. So RIP to the young man's mother. So focus on healthy, safe relationships. Be around people that's loving, kind, and respectful, you guys. I hope you enjoyed the show. I appreciate all the kind comments. If you were kind in the comments, if you were rude, go hug yourself. Be kind in people's comments. Be kind in people's comments. Yeah. It's been a long journey for this young man, and now allegedly the case has been dismissed after 10 years. of him claiming that Jay-Z is his father. It's been dismissed, and allegedly he cannot refile. He cannot refile. So thanks for being here, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the show. I appreciate you all. Have a great day. Focus on healthy, safe relationship and be around people that's loving, kind, and respectful. Yes, dismissed. And allegedly I saw something where he cannot refile again. Have a great day, everyone. Be blessed. Goodbye. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. Thank you for being here.